That's the way Big Bang always was, too, because I wasn't part of the main cast, so it was always gig to gig. And, like, when I first did it, Bert didn't even have a name, you know? I was just a weird guy in the cafeteria.
Stuart tries to reset our lives and fails to save the universe.
Hello, everybody. I'm Felicia Day.
And I'm Will Wheaton.
Welcome to the official Stuart Fails to Save the Universe podcast.
Every week, we're sitting down with the creators, cast, and crew and pulling apart whatever brilliant craziness they came up with for that episode.
We are talking about what the show is inspired by, what classic tropes it's riffing on, and where it goes completely off the map.
This episode is called, spoiler, Bert Gets Married. It was written by Chuck Lorre, Zach Penn, and Bill Prady, and directed by my dear friend, Jonathan Frakes. I am thinking of this episode as the pre-tech utopia. What about you?
Well, I see it as Paradise episode before they, broke it.
And boy, did they break it.
Oh, they're very good at that. Spoiler warning, if you haven't watched the episode yet, fix that. Go watch it on HBO Max and come right back.
We'll wait for you. Later in the episode, we're talking to production designer Valdar Wilt and costume designer Valerie Klarich.
But first, we're sitting down with Brian Posehn.
I'm so excited that Brian is going to be here. He's just
him.
one of our favorite people from around town, but he's also a huge D&D nerd.
Huge.
Like both of us are.
We played with him.
I imagine there's going to be a little bit of nerding out that is relevant to our fellow D&D players.
Is there ever not a lot of nerding?
There never is not. Is that right?
Never not. Okay, let's just
Let's go. Let's get into it.
Please welcome to the show the wondrous Bert, Brian Posehn.
Hey.
Thanks for being
having me.
here.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it's great to see you.
Good to see you.
Let's talk about how you became aware of the existence of the show, how they pitched you. Let's take us back to the beginning.
Who did you sleep with to get this part?
All the writers, mostly Zach. No, I got a call from Chuck Lorre, and it actually said Chuck Lorre on my phone. Thank God, because I thought I was being pranked. My wife and I because we had heard rumblings of a spinoff, and that if there was one, it would be Stuart and myself. So when it happened, I'm looking at my phone. I must have been looking at my phone my wife finally said, answer it. Because I'm like, it's Chuck Lorre, it's Chuck Lorre. I went into the kitchen with it, and she's like, you should probably pick it up and talk to him. We had never really talked on the old show.
Yeah.
So it was at that point the longest conversation I ever had with him. And he was like, hey, this is happening, and it's going to happen soon, and we're doing a holding deal. As an actor, you're like, sure, till it happens, till you have it.
When you originated Bert on The Big Bang Theory, which is a multicam show with a real particular pace and rhythm and expectation. Talk to us about how you brought him into a single camera world.
It still felt like Bert. The jokes are still there. It was just more the other stuff. And that was like totally unexpected for me. I had no idea I'd be running as much as I was. And the physicality, you know.
Are you going to get a trainer for season 2?
Absolutely. And I'm already on the shot trying to lose. I think I'm way less now than I did during production.
So for this particular episode, 105, it is a big contrast from the ones that have come before. Can you talk about reading that script for the first time?
I felt like they got progressively weirder or crazier as they went. Like, the first one was great, and it's a good jumping off point, and then the second one, you're like, what the hell? So by 4 and 5, I was already like, this is just nutty. Like, and my expectations should be, ready to just do anything. And that one, it just has its own feel, that episode, the Paradise one. And for Bert to maybe fall in love.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, this is a big story arc for you.
It's so sweet and charming.
Yeah, for Bert, it's good to see Bert hook up.
Yeah.
Because Bert lives such a lonely life.
Did you enjoy our sex last night?
It was great. Also, I love you. I'm a married dude, so it's always weird when you play like a guy who doesn't get girls. You know what I mean? Like, I've done well my whole life.
Your wife is quality, I would say. I know her. She's great.
Right. So it's so weird to play that your life is turning around because a girl likes you as an adult.
Yeah.
There's this really lovely, sort of heartbreaking, sweet moment where Bert's crying because he's like never been happy like this before.
Yeah.
Why are you crying?
Just not used to being happy.
It's such a sweet and vulnerable moment. I don't expect that in comedy at
No,
all.
right. And I did have to cry, and I went to a really sad place to get there because I couldn't do happy crying.
Right.
I couldn't get that going as an actor.
Yeah.
But I could do sad crying really easily, and then, so I was doing that, and then have to then turn it into a smile. That was actually a hard moment, but Frakes made it easy.
Jonathan Frakes was on set when I was in my episode. He was prepping for his episodes, including the one that we watched today. And I told everyone, you have no idea what you're in for. You are going to love him. Get ready to meet your new favorite director. Would you talk a little bit about your experience of working with him?
Yeah, he's the best, and I want to work with him again. I hope he comes back. I hope we get to do, if it's not here, anything else, because I love that guy. I fell in love with him, and then he was my favorite person to see at the rap party. When he showed up, I was like, yay, and introducing my wife to him, and he kind of made it easy to do any of the stuff that I hadn't done before because he was, like, there in a way that other directors aren't. Like, physically, he was, like, right. It's so hard. Like, people that have never, acted don't know what it's like. Usually, your director is in another room,
Right, behind the monitors.
100 feet away.
Yeah.
And there's this distance to them, physically, and then also, personally.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right on the other side of the camera, watching in with us.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. The second I saw him do that, I was like, oh, this is going to be easy.
You are beautiful to look at.
Me?
Has no one ever told you this before?
My mom. But she said it was an inner beauty.
As long as I've been watching Bert, I see a real sweetness inside of him. When he comes into this universe, it feels to me like he is an absolute perfect fit.
Right.
Do you think that Bert was going to be like really into being here before Chana comes up and is like, yo, let's go do this?
I think already it's a more welcoming universe than the other ones because we're not being shot at. So immediately when we get there and it's presented already that that's part of this world is you get to sleep with each other. So Bert does seem excited at that premise, and then once this girl hits on him, it makes it kind of easy.
You have basically entered your dream multiverse,
Right.
and yet you ruin it with monogamy, and Kripke ruins it with capitalism. Like, you guys
Yes.
do destroy this land.
We do. I don't think we leave any universe better than we found it.
And it does culminate in this massive brawl at your wedding, which
Right.
it seems like it would scar Bert,
To
but maybe
peaceful
not.
people that have never fought before, but we taught them about fighting.
Right.
Kripke did.
Yeah.
That accelerated
Bert
quickly.
didn't do that, yes. 22 minutes, it's got to.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Second act, we got to, yeah.
Did you have an intimacy coordinator or a fight choreographer who gave you moves?
There was an intimacy coordinator on set for that episode. I did not get one. We cut out a lot of there. It was more. The script was a little more intimate, and then they were like, and I warned my wife, "Hey, I got to make out with a girl," and then I didn't have to. And then my son's like, "Did you make out with another girl, Dad?" And I was like, "No, it didn't even happen." Like,
Wait, so they cut it before they got to the
before
scene?
we even got to it. And there was a couple of things where it was a little pushing it a little, and then we just backed off before we even shot anything.
I get the sense that Bert is a real, genuine romantic in like
He is,
in the
yeah.
poetic sense of the word.
I think, yeah, for sure.
So he comes.
That
to
is fun to play.
So he's in this world where he's going to get to experience romance, and then it all just gets ripped away from him.
Well,
So-
he does
so
the one
suddenly.
scene. He does at least, have two lovemaking scenes.
Yeah.
Off camera
Oh,
that
okay.
he's very proud of.
Yeah.
I need to ask you a geology question.
Is it how many times can a geologist have sex in a 24-hour period? Because the answer is 2.
As far as playing Bert, overall, have you had a lot of geologists come up to you and say, thank you for repping the rocks? Because as a mother of a future geologist / ornithologist, we have rocks everywhere.
Oh, no way. Is that what they want to do?
She wants to be either a geologist or an ornithologist.
That's great.
So, but there's rocks everywhere, and I'm just like, oh, amethysts, and I just want to throw them out because I'm like, we have too many polished
They're all
amethysts.
valuable.
I know, I don't.
I have more rocks now than ever because people give them to me at cons, and half my cameos I had no idea that there were that many geologists in the world, too, because it's always like, my uncle's a geologist, or my dad's a geologist, or my daughter is studying geology. Please do a cameo for them. I went, oh, I have to actually look like I know what I'm talking about. On Big Bang Theory, we had an on-set science supervisor, David Salzberg, and he knew everything you could ask.
In the first episode, I just loved your star moment where you go into your lab and you're the hero of the hour by blowing people up. Can you talk
That
about
was that was one of my favorite moments of actually getting to show Bert in his world and like talking about all the minds I enlightened.
Yeah.
Enlightened. I opened so many young minds here. But then actually I show Raj and everybody else that geology rocks. Most people underestimate the mighty force that is geology.
I literally was like, oh, I probably have a kitchen science book that will show me this formula. I'm like, Felicia, you absolutely do not, because this is killing people.
Right.
I wondered if we could go back to when Bert's a wizard.
Oh.
And we could just talk a little bit about our scene together.
So good.
Because I had so much fun when we shot it, and it massively exceeded my already high expectations.
Oh, well, the effects team is insane.
Yeah.
The stuff that they did, and that's a crazy part of the show, too. Well, like on the original show, we didn't have stuntmen. We didn't have, a full effects team doing things. And so that's been, as a nerd, I love that I get to be on a show that has all that. You know? And one of the guys was saying that our show feels like a show that the original characters would have watched.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so true, but it's also a show I would watch. It's like, oh, this is the kind of stuff I laugh at and actually enjoy in real life.
Yeah.
The magic episode for me was one of the most fun. You would think that Bert's scoring would be Bert's highlight or my highlight, but for me, the most fun was the magic episode because I got to be kind of silly and doing and I loved the scene where I'm earning my acolytes, where I do the abracadabra puppy and then the puppy.
I was going to ask you about the puppy. Was that puppy a diva?
The puppy, a lot of attitude.
A lot of attitude. I can tell. It's just a monster in waiting.
Its handler was not nice either. No, they were super easy and fun. And for me, I'm such a dog nerd, and
I was so
just
jealous.
getting to play with, just to have a puppy on my lap, that wasn't working.
Of course not.
They could have had me for free that day.
Yeah.
We are all major D&D nerds.
Uh-huh.
So to be a wizard,
Oh yeah.
right, as when you've done it your whole life in your
Well,
imagination.
no, I've never played wizards because
What's your class of choice?
Wizards are too much work.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because
I always play
wizards, you
wizards.
have to know
Yeah.
all these spells.
Yeah.
I played a bard once, and it was a female bard.
Oh.
But I used like Van Halen songs and stuff because I
love
didn't know
this.
how else to perform.
Well, you have a great podcast, Nerd Poker, and that's actually how we sort of got
Right,
to know
right,
each
yeah,
other.
for
I came
sure.
and guested on your show.
I'm not the best D&D player. That's part of what our show, what Nerd Poker is us just having fun, and that's why I call it Nerd Poker, because to me, D&D is always, it's more about just hanging with your friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of it is, in my whole crew, I've been playing D&D with those guys for over 20 years. Blaine Capatch and Ken Daly we're playing in an apartment 20 years ago and eating KFC. So the game has grown for us.
I don't remember when I picked this up, but I started to notice that Bert does these incredible things in nearly every episode. He kind of communicates in a very non-expository way, this is how this universe works.
I think what we're looking at is your classic totalitarian dystopia with a dollop of mind control surveillance.
A dollop.
I also hear Bert say those things the annoying nerd in the audience is going to say when the annoying nerd in the audience is like, actually, that's...
Right.
It looks like the Matrix to me.
Technically, we're out of the Matrix. There's certain episodes that we can't talk about where that comes out even
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
That was fun to play because I feel like I am that nerd in real life.
Yeah.
I am the guy that goes, actually, or tries not to do that
Yeah.
and hopes everybody else finds out that we are treading on that, you know.
That doesn't seem coincidental because you wrote Deadpool for so many years for Marvel, who is the ultimate fourth wall breaker.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about that experience of being such a prolific comic writer, as well as just being able to be plugged into this dream world of being in a comic book store.
I pinch myself because it is like what I love, that the way the show came out and having us hang out in a comic book store. I never had any of the comic book store scenes on the original show.
Oh, no
Big
way.
Bang, I never went in there.
What?
And Bert never met Stuart, or never like hung out with Stuart. I was at parties that he was at.
Yeah.
So that's been part of this, the great part of this show is he and I actually becoming better friends and getting to play together.
Yeah.
And then getting to play in that world, the comic book shop where Brian feels more comfortable in life. It's helpful to play Bert. There's some ease to it where, oh, I feel comfortable, so my character can now feel comfortable in this world too.
Building on that a little bit, you have an enviable stand-up comedy career. And it is not don't downplay it. It's amazing. It is not uncommon for stand-ups to bring a lot of themselves to dramatic roles, to fictional roles. How much of Brian exists in Bert?
Not too much. The self-deprecating stuff, maybe, because that's so much what I like to do with my stand-up.
Yeah.
I don't punch down ever. I punch myself a lot, down and up.
Yeah, okay.
But no, I don't really go. I don't target other people, and I think that's the thing that Bert doesn't really. Well, I do get to bust Stuart's chops a little.
Yeah.
And then I definitely will keep Kripke in line.
That doesn't feel like punching down at all. That just feels like
but
enforcing
that's more,
boundaries.
yeah, Brian doesn't really do that. That's more the character Bert.
Yeah.
They were going to burn me at the stake, and he did nothing.
Oh, Barry!
I know, I'm terrible. Please change me back.
I want to ask a little bit about the comic shop itself. So was it exciting to be able to work in a comic shop as a comic book writer? And B, do you hate Archie as much as someone on the writing staff does?
No, I never hated Archie. I actually grew up with Archie, and I was a Christian kid, so I read the Christian Archies, which are even more.
Wait,
Wow.
there are Christian versions of Archies?
yeah.
Are those books literally square?
So square. And I read them at Christian camp. I went to a camp in the Santa Cruz Mountains growing up a couple of years in a row, and that's like all we had in the bookstore was the Christian Archies, and then anything like about, the Dallas Cowboys and how Christian they were in the 70s, and that's all the stuff that we had. It was Christian comics is a whole other.
I had no
The
idea.
only one
And
that
I
I ever-
collected a little bit in San Diego where I'm like, I wonder if they have that. And I've gotten a couple of the ones that I had as a kid.
Do you still have a copy of The Cross and the Switchblade?
No.
I still have my original copy of that. There's a very deep cut for particular 70s comic book nerds.
The rapport between you and the rest of the cast is so easy and comfortable, and it feels like the dialogue is so off the cuff, and yet we know that it's scripted. Like, is that an experience that's kind of unique in your career?
Yeah, this show is totally unique in my experience in a lot of ways. To me, this was the most special job for it to come so late in my life where, I've done so many things where I'm a walk-on or I'm a guest or I'm not part of the main cast. So to be part of the main cast, and the fact that this main cast is so small and the fact that we're all friends too, it just made it more special than anything I've ever done. I'm getting married.
What?
Yeah, I asked Chana to marry me. She said yes.
Does she even know what marriage is?
No, and don't you tell her. And to have my favorite job come so late in my career, because before that, my favorite job was Mr. Show, which is
Amazing.
the
but
1990s.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago.
Oh,
I did it
man.
in 1998. We were done.
I
So
really
that
could
was
have
my
done
last-
without you putting the time there.
You know what I mean? That was my last awesome job. I've had great jobs, but that was the last job that I loved.
Yeah.
And then to have this one come.
People don't understand
So
the
late in my
marathon
career.
that is an actor's career.
Right,
you know?
right.
And very few people stay up there, and it's always gig work and guest
Yeah.
stars here and there. And
Well, that's the way Big Bang always was, too, because I wasn't part of the main cast. So it was always gig to gig. And, when I first did it, Bert didn't even have a name. I was just a weird guy in the cafeteria.
Wow.
And then that went well, and they were like, "Hey, we'll have you come back." And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Sure, yeah.
It's what we say every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and they have no, they have no idea. We hear that stuff every time we do a job. So
Yeah, it's true.
And there's so many jobs that I never went back for.
Everyone who is in Stuart Fails to Save the Universe is a supporting character in Big Bang Theory. And now you're the main characters. You're the A story.
Right.
And like we've taken what's always been the B story and we've made it the
Right.
A story.
And then Raj and Bernadette come back and
And
they're
so
they're in the
fun.
B story.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
really
just
cool.
it's
Yeah.
wonderful, right?
Yeah.
When you get to reunite like with Kaylee and Brian when we were doing
And you.
and me. Does it feel like we're getting the band back together?
Absolutely.
Is it that kind of fun?
Yeah, that's what it's been like. And that's part of the fun of this show.
Before we leave, I just want to ask you one question we ask everybody. If you could live in any multiverse at all of your imagining, which multiverse would it be?
From the ones from this show.
Any multiverse you could imagine.
Multiverse. Where would I live? Beach Bry. Like
Beach Bride.
Beach Bry. I just get to be Beach Bry. I just live on a beach.
So kind of similar-ish to this
Yes.
105, maybe.
Brian, thank you
Thank you,
so
guys.
much for being here today. It's always so much
course.
fun to hang out with you.
I just want Brian to hug me.
Oh, dude, Brian gives great hugs.
Great hugs.
Yeah, extremely great hugs.
Yeah.
Coming up, the people who built this village and dressed everyone in it. Production designer Valdar Wilt and costume designer Valerie Klarich. I am incredibly honored to welcome into our little nerd lair Valdar Wilt and Valerie Klarich. Thank you so much for being here. Your work on this show is extraordinary.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for
Happy to
having
be
us.
here.
When you're on a series, you got your home base, you have things that never change, things that you're constantly dressing, and every now and then we get to play in a swing set. We get to costume a guest star. Every episode is a new universe, a new vibe, new inspirations. How do you keep the show cohesive while allowing each universe to be its own universe?
Well, we were just actually talking about this.
Yeah?
I think when we come back to the comic book store, every time that then grounds our characters. So whatever look, costume they're in, then they come back to being their contemporary versions of themselves in Val's comic book store.
Yeah,
and
which
then
does change a little bit, but typically not too much. It still has the generally the same look, so it kind of grounds us there every
The
episode.
changes in the astronaut.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, they're
yeah.
so good.
I love it. It's the first thing I look for when we're going into that set.
Valerie, can you just tell the audience who might not be super familiar with what you do on set, what a costume designer does?
Yeah, so we get the script and dissect it essentially in the beginning and meet with the creatives and page turn meetings where we literally go through every single page of the script to figure out where everybody's head is at and what the overall vision of it is. And then I scour the internet, I go to photo libraries, everywhere I can get visuals, and I try and compile creative boards to send to our showrunners and directors so that we're all on the same page with what the vision of it will be.
Yeah, she did great boards this year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then we work very closely together of what visually it will look like. If Val's picturing this, then I come in and say, okay, if this is what you're picturing, then I will build off of that. So
We work closer on this project than I think either of us have ever worked with
Yeah.
that department. Just
Why is that?
well, it
our
just,
offices were close.
that's true.
okay.
And we like each
we were
other.
on the same
Yeah.
floor.
Okay.
But other than that, it was because the worlds are all different.
Yeah.
We have to change them every episode, so it just required us having a lot of communication about
Yeah.
Was there ever a moment in pre-production where one of you went to the other with like, oh my God, it would be so cool if I'm working on,
Every
it
day.
would be so
Don't
cool.
you feel like that was almost every day? Let's see if the guys are into this.
I thought
Let's
you were
propose
gonna,
this.
I thought
and-
you were going to say, "Oh my God, how are we going to do this?"
That's
Because we
another one
definitely
too.
had some
There
of
was
those
some
days.
of those too.
Yeah, because you're making a movie every week.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. It was a dream, don't you think?
Yeah, totally. It
Like
was so
for
great.
the creative side of this,
Yeah.
it's like any costume designer would like hope for a job like this because every single episode was a mini movie and you didn't ever get bored.
And the feeling from the crew and Chuck and Bill and Zach and everyone was so like we were all so excited. and could tell that it was something special. So
It was almost like you were getting away with something because normally on a TV show, there's a lot more restrictions. It felt like you guys were kind of a kid in a
zero
candy
restrictions.
store.
Yeah.
And the approval was just the guys.
Yeah.
It wasn't
so great.
sending an email of fitting photos to someone in an office on the other side of the country.
Or 10 people.
Or 10 people.
Yeah.
I just want to really like put a hat on that for the audience. To only have to get approval from these executives who are right there all the time, who can go, go do that, or come back with a slightly different pitch, like how much time that saves and how much that empowers you to make creative decisions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did something come up that really surprised you? Did you have a pitch that you thought there's no way?
What was written in the script for your costume was a white robe.
Yeah.
But as I was pulling images, it was giving a little something else that we didn't really want to touch on.
I would love to not wear a white robe.
Right. So, but I see that, like, I see why they wrote it. It's a perfect example of writing something, and then when it comes to life, you're kind of like, let's not lean into that too much. Because I made the board, and as we were looking at it, we're like, let's maybe pivot. So I introduced a couple different colorway options, and we pivoted quickly to the navy.
Great call.
I felt a bit lost starting episode 5 because we had to build from scratch all of them.
Every costume was built from scratch?
From 5, yeah. We built every single costume.
Wow.
There was, I think, between 50 or 60 with the background and the cast and
the
everybody.
doubles and everything for the stunts and stuff?
The stunts were fun. That was a fun little...
How'd you settle on orange?
We wanted it to feel natural, like these people dyed their own everything.
Building on that, where was your inspiration for this village and this world? You could have done so many different things.
Right.
And it feels like you made the only choice.
We kind of did the same thing. We started with some photo research and found a few, on primitive villages and some science fiction-y stuff and some, classic looks. We wanted it to look different than your normal, like, tropical village, but it still needed to be built with things that were in nature, that were in that environment. And having it feel believable was like, those were the main rules that we went by.
To be clear, you built this from scratch
From scratch.
Downtown Burbank.
Yeah, we got kind of lucky because we were able to use the Warner Brothers jungle set.
Yeah.
So
there's already existing greenery, and the
is
pond
there,
or the
pond
the
is
lake.
there. We had about a week to do all the prep there, which for a TV show is almost unheard of.
Yeah.
And we had an amazing construction crew. My team is fantastic, so it all came out really
How
nice.
many people were on your crew?
Well, with construction, greens, paint, set dressing, at least 100, I would think. Wow.
100 people just on your team.
Yeah.
What about
What
you,
about you?
Valerie?
Yeah.
We had like 17, but everyone kept saying our department was so big. Look how big his department was, everyone.
Well, ours would grow and shrink. Yours
ours
always
was constant.
massive.
Yeah. And we brought in an additional tailor who would also help build. So we had 3 tailors around the clock just whipping stuff out. There was never any like labor issues where we were working insane there was never any of that. 5 was my hardest episode in my opinion, just because it was building. We couldn't be like, oh, let's just throw them in jeans or we don't have enough time. But I'm happy with how it turned out.
It looks so
it did
good.
turn out
It
great.
really, you don't ever question the veracity of the world. You're instantly there. What is your background, actually? How did you get into costume design? I just love to know.
Honestly, I studied sociology, did not know what I wanted to do.
Wow.
And then I got a Facebook message when I was 21 from a friend saying, hey, there's an internship on Gossip Girl. Do you want to try? So I was living in New York at the time. I called my parents. I'm like, I'm going to make about $5, but will you guys help me live in New York and try this out for a career? And I haven't left since.
That's incredible.
I just kind of worked my way up.
Gossip Girl was such a fashion-forward
Yeah.
show. I can't imagine being on that with all the couture and.
I know. Well, that's why I was very grateful to get this job because I feel like it allowed me to finally show what I can do. You get typecast. Actors get typecast. Everyone's like, oh, you've only done comedy or you've only done this. And so this opportunity was major for me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Val, what's your path to the art department?
When I was not too long out of high school, I grew up in Sparks, Nevada, and there was a movie that came into town called Blind Fury with Rutger Hauer, played a blind samurai vigilante. I don't know if you remember that movie?
Yes.
I got hired on that movie in the construction department and joined the circus. So I was in construction for about 18 years.
Oh, wow.
And then transitioned into the art department.
When you have so many actors in kind of the same look, but distinct costumes, right? But the same look. How do you keep them separate? How do you prevent them from becoming kind of like a homogenous blob?
It really came down to when the actor came in and I met who they were, then you kind of get a better understanding, oh, this is why they were cast for this part. And then I kind of would look in the rack and be like, no, this one, this look, this silhouette fits this person the best. That's really kind of how I did it. It was important to have the textures and the different fabrics and the different shapes and silhouettes because that's essentially then what makes that person stick out. But I really left it up to the acting, and I think the costumes were, although it looks like they played a big role in the episode, I think the comedy, the writing, who was cast played an even bigger role, and then the costumes just kind of sat back and just helped tell the story. Yeah, and accessories always help. You know, the necklace, the this, the that.
Every director brings something of themselves to a show when they come on a show. And they come and work with the department heads. So you support their vision. They do not stomp on what you have been building. Would you talk a little bit about working with the different directors across the season and just what that experience is like?
Yeah, so Kyle Newacheck, who directed 6 episodes and was our executive producer. You know, we got to spend a lot of time with him in prep and then throughout the season, and he was just fantastic. He's got a great vision. It was great to work with him, a lot of energy. And then, of course, Jonathan Frakes, working with him was like the dream come true. I mean, I can't tell you how much I love that guy. He's just amazing.
Actually, you can, because I know.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's one of the most charismatic
he came into your
people.
fitting.
He did. I was being fit for my cloak, you know, and I'm standing there like, I never feel cool in fittings, but I was feeling cool that day, because how can you not feel cool in that? And I just hear W, and I look up and there's Frakes, and I had no idea. What a wonderful surprise.
Oh, you didn't know he was directing?
No, I didn't know at
that's
all.
so cool.
That is really cool. We were on like a trajectory of where we were going, but every time a new director would come in, they would bring all these new awesome ideas. And I think it only added, and I was like, oh, I didn't think of that. Let's do, you know. It felt very collaborative. This entire show, I fully cannot take credit for all the costumes. My team, it was very collaborative, everybody.
Val, can we talk a little bit about some of my favorite in the past episodes? I love the marketplace in 101. And I love the design that you guys came up with, because if I was going to pick a TV show to star in, I would want to be a dirty apocalypse lady. Can we talk about the sense of inspiration that you pulled from, and then how you guys kind of collaborated to create this awesome post-apocalyptic world?
Well, the inspiration was on the page, which was, it was the Rose Bowl flea market after the apocalypse.
Oh, yeah.
That was what we were trying to create. Was we've all been to the Rose Bowl flea market, so it still goes on, even though the world has ended. You know, because there still has to be trade and all that.
It's so reassuring to know that some things don't change in this world.
And it was kind of fun to see that in that way, because each of the shops that our set deck team did, they were so detailed and so thoughtful about the time, you know, what they were selling and all the goods that were being sold. It was just, I was just blown away by it.
Yeah, I paused a couple times during that sequence because there were so many gross animals being roasted, and the floss plays had like mystery flavor. And then as far as Valerie, have you ever done an apocalypse world? Like, how did you kind of go there?
Oh, we went to the rental houses here in LA and just looked around and got inspired. I'm thinking of one costumer. Her name is Mary Grace, and for the floss, she dressed the background actor in a kind of like a trench coat, but then she sewed on old teeth and she just built this beautiful costume. And it was the first episode, and I hadn't worked with some of these people before. And I went up to her, I'm like, I'm never letting you go. You're with me forever. That is my favorite costume, I think. There's a few other awesome ones, but that one just knocked my socks off.
I've been in this industry for 46 6 years. And the thing that is consistent in all of that is we never have enough time. We never have enough money. We're constantly making compromises, except
for
here.
this show.
And everyone talks about it. It feels to me like investing a little bit of time and a little bit of extra budget into a show really allows the creative artists to thrive and to sing.
My God.
And
so
the
much.
showrunners being down. They were down for everything.
They
I
were
think
down for just about everything. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Does it require a different skill set that you don't normally use? Because now you just get to do what you want.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think like
I mean, we've always wanted to just do what we wanted.
Yeah.
So
of course. Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just
we're artists.
we finally
We just
got a
want everything.
chance.
Yeah.
And then after we were done with that show, I went back to a show that I've been doing for a long time, and it's an amazing show, Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
They want a lot, and and we do a lot, but we don't
that's
have
quick.
time and we don't have money.
John Bowie was in and he was praising your work and just shared with the audience that you worked for quite some time on Saturday Night Live. And that is a high pressure environment where things are constantly changing. And he said, look, you can be on the phone and be like, I need an astronaut costume in 11 hours. And then it shows up.
Yeah.
Did you bring anything that you learned from that work environment, that workflow to this show?
working at SNL trained me to be able to do a lot in a short amount of time. And I honestly think, besides my charming personality, I think that's sort of maybe why I got this job, because they were like, we're not going to have any time on this. I think what scares some people sometimes is, oh, we don't have a lot of time to do this. And in my head, I'm like, what are you talking about? There's like, we've got plenty of time. And I think that comes from SNL for sure, where I'm like, we get the scripts at SNL Thursday morning, and we shoot the pre-tapes Friday, and then we shoot the live show Saturday. So I think it's funny, because I do think in LA, everything moves a little bit slower than New York, just from my perspective. So when I hear, I'm like, what are you talking about? There's so much time. We have a weekend. We have, you know.
That's amazing. How many looks are you working on at one time? How many worlds do you have to keep supported? Like how many worlds on plates are you spinning at any given time across the season?
We did have a lot of prep on this, so we had all the scripts before we started shooting.
Was
so
major.
We were at least 5 episodes ahead on having it
Wow, that's
almost
remarkable.
completely mapped
We were
out.
not. We had ideas and stuff, but we were not 5 episodes ahead.
I mean, we were ahead on concept.
Yeah.
So, and that is just unheard of. I mean, we had to be, though, because the episodes, as we started shooting, even though the days weren't long days and it wasn't a tight schedule, what we were doing was still extremely challenging.
You're not showing up to the same set every day. It's a completely different set.
Completely different. And even if
episode.
it was the same set, it's got to be just enough different. And
I think, and this could just also be my opinion, but I think that we had so much time to prep one, and then showing the guys, the showrunners, what we did with one. I think they were like, oh, okay, I think we hired the right people.
Yeah, we're good now.
And so they then gave us the freedom as the season went on to make decisions and do things that on every other job I've worked on, I'd had to get approvals for. And a lot of times I would send fitting photos and they would be like, whatever you think. And I'm like, really? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Is it sometimes when I'm given like just a giant tableau to do whatever I want, I just don't know where to start. And I really need some guardrails to just point me in the right way. I am hearing from both of you, no, don't give me guardrails. Give me a big blank space and let me fill it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more
True,
fun for you.
But the guardrails were completely in the script.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that
yes,
was
which was, we had
pretty
to,
specific.
yeah.
Are there any particularly memorable on-set moments that you're going to carry with you?
One of my favorite moments for 5 was when Chuck, Bill, Zach, and Jonathan walked on the set for the first time when it was all finished. They had been there a couple days to see it as it was being built, but when they came on when it was finished that morning, just seeing how happy they were was very, very memorable.
Do you get to have a moment with your team where you all just kind of go,
Oh yeah,
nice work, everybody?
we do. Have a
Yeah,
cup of
I
coffee
bet that's
and
great.
It's pretty fun.
There's a later episode with 2 major costumes. And when there is someone on set who's very well-versed in the design of the costume and the knowledge of what it should be, it just feels like a good compliment when they are impressed with the work that you're doing.
That's how I felt when we were in the green room and you told me you liked my coat. I felt fancy.
It's a nice coat.
Thank you.
Blazer. It's rare to finish a season 1 of a show and like want to keep going. I think the gist of the whole crew was, can they write a back 10? Remember back 10s or
Of course
back
we do.
whatever?
Yeah, remember 22 episode seasons?
Yeah.
I sure do.
And
Remember
I
healthcare
think
and pensions?
the talent in every department and
100%.
just the personalities of everyone, we all just came together and worked well together. There was no drama. There was nothing like it. It was, I wanted to go to work every single day. Was excited to see everybody. That's what I take away from season 1 was just the overall, like, I am hoping there, maybe by this time when everyone watches, we'll know if there's a
Wouldn't that
season
be great?
2.
Is there a dream world that you would like to have occur in season 2?
Man.
Something that you'd like to build?
Wasn't on the prompt. Sorry. Any period. Like the 1950s was fun, but it was a weird one and we couldn't fully lean into it fully. You'll see there's like contemporary elements to it. I think anything that's
It would
just
be fun to do a period episode.
Yeah.
A true like period episode. I
like
don't know.
1790 or something where we could research and really dive in.
Yeah.
It's so funny to hear you say that because talking to everyone who works in this, what do you want to do? Period piece? What do you want to do? Western?
Yeah.
Like,
Western
and it's
would be
here
cool.
you
Oh,
are. You
Western
can
would
go.
be fun.
You can go literally anywhere in all its space of time. This show can go any place. It can do anything. But it's like, what do you want? I want to do Western. I want to do like it's what we all
You wanna
want
put
to
a
do.
costume on like a
Again,
kid.
you get typecast. It's like I only, you want to, but the opportunities of those projects come to the people who always do those projects, and it's harder to get those. So that's why you're like, hey, give it to me, and then I'll show everyone.
Let's dovetail off of that a little bit with a question that we're asking everybody who comes in this season. If you could pick any multiverse to go and live in, it could be one from the show, it could be one of your own creation.
Not
Just
even in the
anything.
show.
So what multiverse would you want to
I
live
think
in?
the Western is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chaps.
Chaps, horses.
Kripke's going to be a mega creep in Chaps.
I love
Oh,
that.
for sure.
So
He'll wear
much.
only the chaps, right?
Right,
Yeah.
a Western universe.
Yeah. And there's a great Western town at Universal
There
Studios.
sure
So
is.
it's
There
all
you
there
go.
ready
Yeah.
to go.
Mine would be 1950s. Like a
okay.
cute dress in a little bag.
Oh, for
You know, the
sure.
clothes in the 1950s were killer,
Yeah,
and as
sure.
the
Some
cost-
saddle shoes.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
I could see you in a button-up Chanel,
Thank you.
jacket. Very cute. Very cute.
Yeah.
You guys are such extraordinarily talented artists,
you're too kind.
and you have done such remarkable work this season. We're only halfway through, and the audience has no idea. But I'm just really grateful that you came by and spent some time with us today. It was a real pleasure to play in your world for a little bit.
Thank you.
Thanks
Many,
having
for
many
doing it.
worlds.
Our
Yes,
pleasure.
right.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Valdar and Valerie, the two V's. They were incredible.
Yeah, they were fantastic.
Yeah.
I absolutely love talking with department heads and talking with the craftsmen and artists who do things that are not part of the performance of television and movies.
It's the great underappreciated aspect of filmmaking. If you've never been on a set, you don't realize how many people are working to make what you watch completely effortless.
Huge, huge thanks to our guests, Brian Posehn, Valdar Wilt, and Valerie Klarich.
The next episode is called Spoiler, Corn is Delicious, and you can watch or listen to us discuss it right after the new episode drops.
Hey, stream new episodes of Stuart Fails to Save the Universe on HBO Max, and then catch us, the official Stuart Fails to Save the Universe podcast on HBO Max, the HBO Max YouTube channel, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, please.
That's our show, everybody. Thanks for being here. See you next week.
Toodles.
Bye. This has been an OBB sound production for HBO Max, co-hosted by Felicia Day and Will Wheaton.
Executive producers for HBO Max are Becky Rowe and Kenya Reyes.
For OBB, executive producers are Michael D. Ratner, Scott Ratner, and Toby Lawless.
Producer for OBB, Toby Lawless. Production manager, Kevin Lynn. Segment producer, Jesse Holland. Associate producer, Patrick Strapazone. Technical director, In-Sung Huang.
Editor, Jesse Holland. Post-production supervisor, Mariana Crisostomo. Assistant editor, Mark Alcacid. Production accountant, Zachary Steinberg, and Ross Hush.
Director of photography, Heath Gresham.
Production designer, Liz Klukowski. Set designer, Aga Shostakovska. Lead man, Kevin Fallon. Set dresser, Robert Pound. Brian Kim, Shabazz Burwell, and Zachary Taylor.
Sound mixer and editor, Josh Falcon. On-set mixer, Darren Bowling.
Key hair and makeup artist, Kendall Shannon. Wardrobe stylist, Kristen Ingram. Wardrobe assistant, Sonia Desai. Christina Pombo Valdez.
Production assistant, Max Jordan. Production interns, John Thalbom and Ava Grimes.
Senior Director of Creative Development and Social Strategy for OBB is Lenore Castro. Manager of Creative Development and Social Strategy for OBB is Sharif Bakare.
Special thanks to Graphic and Artwork, HBO Max Concept and Design Studio. Creative lead for DC, Victor Diaz. Show props courtesy of Sarah Snyder and Miley Casera.